Yeah, dude, this shit goes super hard.
This sounds like it came from an alternate dimension where nothing makes sense. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the New Music Podcast. I'm your host, one of two, Shiloh, and I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Two of two.
Today, we're taking a look at 5 nice little albums, and...
That's not true.
and 3 EPs at that.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, I suppose so. All things considered, it is a slow week in mainstream music. There's not really any mainstream artists that went ahead and dropped something this week, but slow week in music leads for us to do a little bit of digging. So we went into some trenches on Bandcamp, and not everything is actually from the last week, but it's from the last couple of weeks, some really interesting releases that we went ahead and pulled out. You want to give them a rundown of all the albums we're looking at this week, Micah?
Oh, not really, but I will anyways. So Goth Babe dropped an album titled Lola, like indie pop kind of guy living out of a van. Then we have Baroque pop band the Last Dinner Party with their album Prelude to Ecstasy. I do not know what Baroque pop means, but I'm being forced to call it that. Then we have, up next we have No Dub by Trans Upper E. It's like a funky, jazzy, Screamy Red Man type beat album.
That one's the hardest to describe for sure.
I think I did it, though.
I think you did it.
Then we got a little band called Meth out of Chicago, and their album Shame. They are a experimental hardcore band, which is the least descriptor I could potentially ever give.
I think it's fair.
But it's what they are.
Yeah.
And then we have Jesse the Tree with his album Not Fade Away. Let's consider him call it hip-hop rap, right? I think that's just fair.
I would go with abstract hip-hop.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to call.
Rhyming?
Yeah.
Rhyming and beating?
Yes, indeed. Lyrical hip-hop.
Cool little album cover.
Yes, super cool. But we'll talk about all that in a little while here. First, we got 3 nice little EPs I kind of alluded to before that we're going to run past before we actually get into any albums. The first one we want to bring forward to you, I mentioned before, probably the most mainstream release to come out this week. We have the 2 producers, Hit Boy and The Alchemist, coming forward with what is the other name besides Theodore?
THEODORE and Andre.
THEODORE and Andre.
The main event, shit gets loud, dark, dirty, and dangerous. The smaller the Philly gets, the more the pepper, the spicier the chili hits. Do 100 plus on a motorbike, then wheelie it.
So, really quick, 3-track EP. You could almost call it a single. Only a few minutes of music here, but I would say those few minutes of music are pretty damn solid. How about you?
I would have to say those are definitely some of the minutes of music of all time.
Indeed.
This is the best EP I've heard this year.
Really?
Which is a hyper specific category that doesn't have a lot of contenders.
That's true. We have only covered 4, and I'm not sure if you've heard any others. But it is still a really good one, just given the competition and everything.
Yeah.
It's really cool to hear 2 producers coming together and rapping like this. I know Hit Boy did a little bit of rapping on some of those projects that he did with Nas. That run of Magic and King's Disease projects that he did with him. So that's not something unheard of. Are you aware if The Alchemist ever raps?
Oh yeah, there is a handful of tracks. They're few and far in between, but he raps. I think he did quite a bit on, what was that album called? He did one with Vor Year Dyer, or Vor, whatever. Well, the one with the Earl Sweatshirt.
Oh, the recent Earl Sweatshirt project, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I have heard that album once.
I've heard it twice.
So that would make sense as to why I was unfamiliar with the fact that he raps often, or at least semi-often anyway. But I think this little EP here, this collection of tracks, is a cool little victory lap for them, because both of them have been associated with some pretty high caliber rap projects that have come out in the semi-mainstream, I guess I would call it. Some hit projects. These guys are two of the biggest producers and the most respected producers at the very least. And they're honing their craft. They're doing everything expertly. And these 3 tracks just kind of show that they can still do all of that pretty damn flawlessly, I'd say.
Yeah. I would have to agree.
Yeah.
They're just like the snakeskin boxing gloves, just to like hammer home the point of it being like a victory lap album. Really, really goes to show that they knew, they were aware.
Right. It's all just kind of flexing and reminiscing on their recent successes. I want to say it's just kind of the main lyrical focus. And it all goes over quite well. Also, the obsession with food bars from The Alchemist is so crazy. I loved that. He has a line on here.
Homie wanted a sandwich.
He has the line, I think it's sprinkled cheese on me, I'm impossible or something like that.
Fuck you.
Which is a crazy line. Yeah, and then it had features, or one feature anyhow, and joint production from Jonathan Hewlett, and I find it a little odd that he wasn't actually credited as one of the names in the 3 for the EP, because he contributed quite a bit.
He was credited on Spotify, it says, on the main event.
He was credited as a feature.
Oh, you're talking about the whole EP, not just this song?
On the one song, but he did produce the back half of the EP, so I don't know. That's a little weird, but good project. They're rapping, they're laying down beats, good stuff all around from the 2 of them. Our next EP, unless you had other things to say about it.
Oh, I didn't. Well, what was your score? Did you even score it? It's really hard to score an EP.
Yeah, it is a little hard to score an EP, but I went ahead and did so just because I'm going to be scoring these on Album of the Year anyhow.
Yeah.
My score was 75, and I gotta say, Main Event is my favorite of the 3, and Morrissey is my least favorite of the 3, with a very small margin between the 3 tracks that are here.
Man, you're not gonna believe me, but I gave it a 75.
Oh!
I also had the same favorite, least favorite track.
Wow. We're really on the same page.
Main Event went hard.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's only 3 tracks, and we both listened to like pretty similar hip hop.
That's true. Yeah, it's kind of in our world of what we normally listen to and everything, so it makes sense and everything. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and move on to 8485 with Software Gore.
Why try to pretend we both know the secret lines in your head? Why all of us think you can hear me? I can't speak, I can't breathe out. I don't like where I'm sleeping, but I don't think I can leave now.
I gotta say, I am completely unfamiliar with 8485. This is just something that I saw the album cover. I'm like, that's sick. That's a sick title. I had no idea what I was getting into, and I still don't really know.
Recently, I fell down the hyperpop rabbit hole, so I've actually heard of 8485 before, but never like delved into any of their singles or EPs. They have one album that came out last year. I also didn't listen to that yet, but it definitely was a hyperpop EP. It was fine.
I mean,
okay.
I guess
I don't know.
it kind of has a little bit of that like Drain Gang aesthetic almost to it as well. It's like semi-rapped, semi-sung kind of thing, so it definitely has the most hyper-pop influence, but...
Yeah, it's got a specific genre tag, I can't remember what it's called. Also, fun fact, 8485 was featured on the album Fishmonger by the Underscores. I had no idea until just now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're on Your Favorite Sidekick. They were on that track.
Oh! Okay, that makes so much sense because I could have swore I heard the name and then I looked at their previous releases and I'm like, nope, never mind, haven't heard any of this. But I did hear Fishmonger, so That makes sense. That makes sense.
They were also credited on the Rocket League OST.
Wild.
That is so funny.
Yeah. This thing is weird, though. The biggest point of comparison I really have, besides what we've already said, is a project called Aethernet by Fax Gang that I listened to a long time ago, where it's just this, like, distilled internet. Like, it's just harsh digital sounds berating your face.
This falls into, like, the sect of, like, internet people who listen to, like, it crosses over as close to our side of stuff as, like, Kaizo Slumber, but it's kind of in that, like, weird underground gay kids making computer beats.
Awesome. I thought the third track on here, where it's like some sort of interrogation sample, was really weird. I feel like I'm missing something. Do you happen to know what that's from? I can't really find any insight on it.
Hold on. We'll find out.
I checked on Genius. Nothing was credited as a sample.
Hold on. I should show my wife. She probably knows, but she's asleep right now.
Ah, that's fine. It almost sounded, based on the context, like the Gypsy Rose stuff, but I have no idea if that's what I was actually hearing.
It could have been.
I don't know any of the actual recordings from all of that case, but interesting nonetheless. And then the tracks surrounding it seem to have lyrics focused on, like, crimes and shit. So it kind of makes sense. It had a weird, loose concept to it. A cool project, but I don't really know what to think of it, I guess.
I got you.
What did you score this one?
I give it a 60%. It wasn't really, like, doing anything for me. I was like, yeah.
Okay.
This is it.
That makes sense as somebody who's a little bit more familiar with that world, maybe. I went ahead and gave it a 72, so a little bit higher than you. I found it pretty interesting, but I guess if there's more similar things that I just haven't heard, then that would make a little bit more sense. My favorite on here was Anthropole, and my least favorite was Something Bad. How about you?
Everything was pretty, like, mid. I don't really pick any favorite tracks out of here since there's only 3 and a interlude, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I didn't count the interlude because it's not really a song. But then the last EP we have up here is Digital Pollution by Wasp Mother.
Shut the fuck up, Clem Fandango, and your made-up name.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's that fucking 2006 shit.
Yes, it's so sick.
It's got all the fucking, like, it's just straight memes, bro. It's good memes.
There's good memes, yeah. I loved the
God, it reminds me of when we used to watch, like, Jared Dine.
Yes, so true, actually.
It's that.
Kind of those vibes, but this is, like, harder. This is kind of in a grindcore space, almost. Like, it does have some deathcore elements, but it feels more power violence and grindcore. Going into our nerdy metal subgenres over here, but, like, it's heavy as shit. This shit fucking rips. Fuck. I don't even know if there's anything else to say about it, I guess. But I do want to mention that I found it extremely interesting that the first, like, 5 tracks kind of follow the grindcore template of having, like, less than a minute or a minute and a half long songs, and then you have Pale at the end that's just, like, a whole entire thing. So that was pretty cool as well. It almost feels like the rest of the EP is just a build up to Pale.
Yeah.
I went ahead and gave this one a 73, just because, like, I mean, it's not doing anything super new, but it fucking rips, so...
I gave it a 66 because it made me laugh.
66. That's fair. That's totally fair. My favorite was Pale, as I guess I totally alluded to before. And my least favorite was Burnout, just because, I mean, it's one of those, like, quick few second long tracks. Didn't really do much for me, of course. There's not much to do. How about you?
The same thing, honestly. Like,
that's totally fair.
Yeah, Pale is...
Yeah. Yeah, Pale's
Pale was
obviously the standout, and this whole thing just goes hard. But now I suppose it's time for us to actually move on to the albums. The first one we have on the list is Lola by Goth Babe. You are someone who has been a fan of Goth Babe for a little bit, and we're finally getting an actual debut album. I can't say that I've ever gone out of my way to listen to Goth Babe, but I think we did together when we lived together probably a little bit, so I was only very slightly familiar. Based on somebody who's been a fan for a while, what did you think?
I appreciate that he finally made an album, but like at the same time, he just kind of took all of his old tracks and didn't do anything new. If anything, he went back a little bit from trying new things, and just kind of did more of like the samey. This is an indie pop track. Yeah. Another one. Like, it's not bad. It's not offensive to my ears in any way, shape, or form. He's done this before, and he's done it really well. And he could be doing something a little different. He could be even doing just this, but better. But I feel like he was scared of his first album.
That's totally
which
fair.
Which is understandable, you know. He's so hard. But,
yeah,
man.
And I guess if he's been building up to it for this long, then maybe the intention was just to kind of refine it, I guess.
Yeah, his first EP, I think, came out in 2015. Let me double check that, make sure I'm not tripping. Yeah, it looks to be like, 2015 was his first EP, or first EP, first single. And then I started listening to him around 2017.
That's quite the build-up. So, I mean, it's cool to actually get something on wax, you know what I'm saying?
And he's pretty popular, too. Like, all the singles always have, like, millions of plays.
Wow, really? I had no idea. But that's
cool.
Yeah,
he's popular, man.
Gotcha. My experience as somebody who hasn't listened to him much at all in the past was, I guess, pretty similar. This really gave me the vibes of when indie pop was having a boom in like the early 2010s. Gave me vibes of like Tame Impala, M83, stuff like that. Can you see kind of the similarity there? I guess I felt like M83 on the synths and then Tame Impala on the overall aesthetic. Those are my points of reference, I guess. It really just did feel like... it just felt like that moment when that was a big mainstream crossover thing.
And he's always like summer vibes. It's his whole deal.
It did very much so feel like that nostalgic, sentimental summer vibe aesthetic. And I almost said this about the Lyrical Lemonade album, and I'm not sure if I actually did or not. But that one as well, what are these guys doing dropping these in the winter? This is like a June or July album. Like, this is so summery. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we had some technical difficulties up in here.
My shit crashed.
Yeah. That's okay, though. I think we were mostly done with our discussion on this. This album's vibey. It's got a aesthetic to it. I don't think it's trying to be anything deep. The lyrics are really nondescript, mostly just kind of love song stuff. It's got a vibe to it. It's kind of fun. Not super significant.
I'm a little disappointed.
Are you?
Yeah, you could have did something cool.
That's fair.
This is just passable indie pop. I'm gonna listen to it though. Don't get me wrong.
Right. I think it's something to turn on, and it's not something that's gonna benefit from a super close listen, despite the fact that everything sounds really crisp and clear, and I do like that about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's fun too is for most of his, like, at least at first, I'm sure he goes to an actual studio now, but his whole deal was he traveled around the like country in his truck and recorded in his truck.
That's a dream, man. That's awesome. That's super cool.
With his dog. He had a dog and a snowboard.
He mentions that in what I was going to say is one of my favorite tracks, actually, is in Spinnaker Days. He talks about that. And I thought that was one of the most lyrically substantive songs, because it sounds like it's kind of his journey so far. So getting that little bit of context makes that song even better, I think.
Hell yeah. I thought we were going to pick the same favorite track again. I chose Alone in the Mountains as my favorite. It's just like a little pop.
Yeah, it's a good follow-up to that same song. I would say my actual favorite, though, is Baja, because Baja is a blast.
Baja Blast.
Baja is a blast to listen to. I thought that one was super fun. It really just feels like the most condensed, awesome version of what he was trying to do for the rest of the project, and I think it's so good as a closer. What was your least favorite?
I don't know, man. You can't not like any of these tracks at all. Because, like, the worst track is the same as, like, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 other tracks.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarity going on throughout a lot of it, so it does make sense that it would definitely be hard to choose. I went ahead and picked Sadie.
I was going to pick Sadie.
You were going to pick Sadie as well? I think it's one of the least significant ones.
I was in the middle of saying Sadie.
I guess we're on the same page once again.
Stop it. This would be a boring podcast. Service without these guys just fucking... Same person.
Just the same person. Just the same person indeed.
Same dude.
I think that kind of wraps it up then. What was your score?
I gave it a 60%.
I went ahead and hit it with a 71. Again, I don't have the context of it being similar to all of his other stuff, so it just seemed kind of fun to me. And that's about it.
Yeah, you didn't get edged for a decade.
Yeah, I guess I didn't. Our next one we have up here is The Last Dinner Party's debut album, Prelude to Ecstasy. How'd you feel about it?
Keep it real. At first, I was a little bit of a hater.
Oh, really?
And then I delved into it. I gave it my second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth listen. Shit goes hard.
It goes so hard.
I fell in love. I was at the grocery store fucking getting my goddamn SpaghettiOs, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I feel a feminine urge.
This is the best thing to grab your SpaghettiOs to.
Yes, sir.
I love this album. Again, yeah, that first listen, it takes a little bit to kind of sink in. I gotta say, I liked it a lot first listen, and then later I was just kind of replaying it a couple times in the car, and I loved it on second, third, fourth listen, and even more just as I gradually get acclimated to this sound. Wow, it is special. I loved what they did here.
And this is a critic must listen to, so we were like,
Yeah, it's a critic must listen to, and the kind of ye old album cover, like it's all like classical looking. We both kind of went into this like, wow, this is gonna kind of fucking suck. But it didn't. Oh my god, it's so good. I have not been aware of this band at all in the past. I think they had a big song on TikTok, and it's a little bit of context that I've kind of dug up on this band right quick. I think they had a song blow up on TikTok.
They did.
I think that had people claiming that they were an industry plant as well. And if they're an industry plant, I'm going to water this industry plant until it is a flourishing, growing plant. Whole botanical garden, okay? Because it doesn't really even matter to me.
So it's a slightly bigger plant.
Yeah, but honestly, I think all that really happened here is they made catchy songs, had some connections in the industry, and put those things together and just got popular off of a platform that thrives on catchiness and just have such good music that people ended up coming back. So
because the music stands up on its own.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's one of those things where you'll go ahead and check these songs out just because you've heard them somewhere, and then you can listen to this whole album, you can listen to their other singles, everything, and it's all just so good sounding that if you had any love for the first one that you heard, I can't imagine that going anywhere bad. A little piece of context that I also saw, and I guess honestly I didn't fact check this, but I just went ahead and believed it to be true. I have heard that the lead singer is in a relationship with the vocalist also of HMLTD.
That would make so much sense.
Yeah, it makes so much sense, doesn't it? Oh my god, because, like, this is such a good companion to, again, like West of Eden or something like that. I feel like, not to get parasocial here, but I feel like they talk a lot about music together and get inspiration from bouncing off of each other, because both of these albums are epic. They're somewhat experimental, just kind of playing off of things that exist and then making them this huge thing. Also, I believe this is factual. I believe that she had vocals on The Worm, the last HMLTD album. And again, I think that one, being a little bit of a concept album, makes less sense next to Prelude to Ecstasy. But if you are to pair it up with, like, West of Eden, I mean, it's a perfect pairing. Yeah, like, how do you feel about the sound they're bringing forward on this one?
It blew my dick clean off.
We're bringing in the phrasing from the last one. Yes, it,
No, it goes so fucking hard, bro. I was just in the grocery store, grabbing my SpaghettiOs, and then I'm like, ooh, wow. I'm like making a face and fucking vibing, and everyone's like, what the fuck is this giant doing here?
That's
It
excellent.
was so good. Like, I compared it to the last, like, the other, like, version of the podcast, It's Not Real, with that Fiona Apple album. It gave me the same, like, like, cock-swinging alpha male vibes, I should say, but women instead.
Yes, a very strong feminist energy to both the lyricism and the powerful female artistry vibe that's brought forward in the sound. There's a lot of lyrics about the vocalist and potentially the other members. I don't know who all contributed to the writing, but the experience as a woman, and I feel like maybe there's a lot of nuances to dive into that we don't have a lot of time to dig up fully just in this short form context, but it's pretty deep. I'll say that. It's profound. This is a very profoundly written album.
Oh my god, the track A Sinner, I believe it was.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So well written.
And then they got The Feminine Urge. It's another, like, certified hood classic.
What a thing to call that song.
Caesar on TV screen. Oh my god.
Yeah, right. You look down this track list and you're just, wow. Just
It's all heat. It's all heat, bro.
It's all heat. It's all heat.
It's all good.
That's another thing I loved about this album, is that if you isolate any song, it works. If you play this album together, it works almost a little bit better. These songs don't rely on the other tracks on the album, despite there being super cohesive themes, replaying imagery throughout the lyricism, a overarching sound that makes sense together. It, like, almost works the way a concept album would, despite the fact that you can take any song from this, play it on its own, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it fucks. This album fucks.
It fucks. It's so epic. The build-ups, the crescendos just felt earned. The relaxing moments felt so beautiful. The vocals on this, awesome. This is special. This is special, and I didn't expect it. It caught me off guard, and
Caught me with my pants out. That's why I blew my dick off.
clean off.
Clean off.
Socks knocked off. Dick clean off.
Socks obliterated.
Oh man. Anybody not familiar with that running joke is at some point just gonna be so confused by it. But
Oh yeah, dude.
regardless, I don't know. Is that all we have to say on this?
That's all we have time to say.
Much like the Glass Beach album, I feel like I could very easily do a full video on this that would be quite long.
Oh, and you will.
I probably will, yeah. I probably will on the Glass Beach album. We were talking a little bit about that. And I probably will on this one, honestly. But my favorite songs, if I really have to pick, because I have like multiple 10 out of 10 songs on here, I've got My Lady of Mercy, On Your Side, and Portrait of a Dead Girl as my favorites. How about you?
Mine is Burn Alive.
So good.
Sinner, and yeah, I'll pick those two as the contender for first place for now.
We're finally gonna disagree a little.
Caesar on the TV screen.
Caesar on the TV screen, yes. Also, they're all so good that I'm like, yeah, those could be my favorites too. Even though the fact that we directly disagree and Sinner was my least favorite, just because I feel that this song is a little bit weird aesthetically. It brings in more rock elements, and I'm like, okay. It's a little bit of a harsh switch up, but like, it's still an 8 out of 10 song. There's not anything below that on here.
My least favorite track is Portrait of a Dead Girl.
Oh, shit. We're all switched up. But all the songs are so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the songs are so good that you might as well. I also didn't love it closing on Mirror. I think that's sonically, thematically it makes so much sense, but the sound of that one feels a little inconclusive and doesn't have the explosivity some of the rest of the album had, so I felt like maybe they could have ended it on a better note sonically, but that's it. I mean, my score overall, 89%. Good old 9 out of 10. Solid. How about you?
I gave it a light 9. Like, I give it a 90. It's a light 90.
Mm-hmm.
I could lean towards more than 88, 89, but 90 is where I ended up landing. Just push it over the edge.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair, yeah. What album do we have up next?
We have Trans Upper Egypt with their album No Dub.
Well, I'll let you start if you'd like. How do you feel?
Shit fucks.
Yeah? Yeah.
How did I describe it earlier? Screamy red man with the Residents.
Oh, that's true. I was trying to find a point of reference, and the Residents is a really interesting one to pull from. I like that.
Yeah, that was my immediate thought. I was like, oh geez. I was like, oh geez, Rick. Trans Upper Egypt.
It's just as uncanny and disturbing as the Residents are too.
Yeah, dude, this shit goes super hard.
This sounds like it came from an alternate dimension where nothing makes sense. I think this is what they play in the lunch room, the break room in hell. Like when the demons are taking their break for the day, this is what they're listening to, because it's a little bit chill.
That'd be sick.
Yes. It's a little bit chill to it. Like it's got some meditative vibes, but it's so weird and so uncanny.
God, the break room in hell. It's like, wow. The album cover being two baby crocodiles just simply vibing too is really fun.
Dude, I love the album cover so much. It perfectly represents the way this album sounds, even though I can hardly even describe how it sounds.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. The drums, the jazz drums throughout the entire album with the, what's that? I don't know what the effect is called when it sounds like a throw in your voice almost.
I guess it's reverb?
Kind of. It's not because reverb would be a little different. It's called something. It's got a name. But yeah, I guess you can, we'll just call it the reverb-ish type fucking thingy, bobber. It's really heavy on the track. Benghe? Benghe?
I want to say like Benghe or something along those lines. I don't actually know the pronunciations. This is an Italian band too, so some of it's in not English, I think.
Maybe.
I think, because it's so hard to hear the lyrics. I did go ahead and I think my order went through at least. I went ahead and bought the vinyl, and I'm hoping that the lyrics are in there because I could make out so little.
It's funny, my wife's Italian. I could have had my father-in-law be like, yeah, there's an Italian on it.
That's awesome. I described the vocals on this as sounding like you're at the other end of a really long tunnel and there's a guy just ranting to you. Like, just...
Nah, bro. It's, you're at the end of a fucking train tunnel and the devil is trying to fucking tell you about his used car he's trying to sell you. It's got a boat for sale, dog.
The devil's trying to sell you used cars. I could pick out a couple of lyrics on the longest song on here, and I'm blanking on the title of it.
It's Italy.
Italy, yes. The lyrics on Italy were occasionally intelligible, so I could get, let's see, what did I write down here? I heard, let me smile, hold my fingers, see the clouds heavy and something. I didn't get that. And then maybe walking slower than a turtle. So I think it's fair to say that Italy is my new favorite love song.
Bro, I was trying to find this on YouTube because I've been having trouble with Bandcamp on desktop, not letting me control the fucking volume of the song. But I couldn't find it. It's not on YouTube.
This is a Bandcamp exclusive. It's that real underground. And they have 3 other albums too. I haven't heard them yet. I want to, but I don't really know what their deal is with their distribution, but it's just there. I can't find it anywhere else, and I can't find anybody on the whole internet talking about this album in particular. It's a pretty crazy deep cut, and it's a pretty crazy one, I tell you what.
There's like 78 people who have bought the digital album as far as I can see on Bandcamp.
Those are probably the other people aware of this. I don't know if like they're big in their like local scene at all or like well known. Obviously that's the other side of the world from us practically.
Hey, you said you bought their vinyl, right?
Yeah.
It says here there is 200 copies of this album.
Yeah, and I recommend everyone listening to this to go snag one because it's weird, it's crazy, it's experimental, but it's awesome. What you said about the drums too, dude, mix so crisp.
Oh, yeah.
The bass too. I love being able to hear bass guitar. Oh my god, that's such a like underutilized thing.
Oh my god.
Making bass guitar loud because it's so much higher in the mix than you usually hear, and it serves as such a bass plate. It really builds upon that with the weird synths and the weird vocals, but those drums and bass are the normal things to keep you grounded and that it builds upon, and it is excellent the way they use those.
Yes, sir. Go back to the first track and listen to like the first like 15 seconds. The way they introduce each instrument that they're gonna like use to keep you there. So like it fucks.
Yeah, it really is crazy. The formula, I guess I could say, seems to be they bring in drums, they bring in bass, and then just chaotic sounds from hell over top.
Well, the first thing they do is a little like fucking it's a brass instrument. What the fuck is it? It's like one of the fucking horns. I'm too stupid to know the name of it. It's something super simple, and I'm sounding pretentious trying to like remember the name of something super simple. But
Saxophone?
No. Oh, it might be.
I feel like there was some saxophone on this, but yeah.
I'm talking about the first track. The first track when they introduce all the instruments.
Yeah, it has some jazz instrumentation definitely sprinkled throughout. There's a decent amount of influence in that, and jazz is a big blind spot for me.
Oh, really?
Are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No.
Okay, go ahead and pull that up on Google Images right quick. And you at home...
Kruger with a K.
Yes. You at home may be familiar. I feel like this is kind of a trending topic. Essentially, what it means is when you first get into a topic and become knowledgeable or become knowledgeable or skilled with that said thing, you feel super confidently, like you know all there is to know, okay? Like you are at the peak of your knowledge, like you're fine, cool, whatever. And then gradually you realize, holy shit, this is actually like, there's so much I don't know yet. And then you slowly build up to that former point of confidence before you realize that. This album is one of the things that make me realize that I am definitely still climbing that second slope.
As a way when my friends describe something, not music, but like something that you can compare to this, there's a great tree of music, and we haven't even seen the tree yet.
Yeah. Still on the bark, man. Still on the bark. And
I feel like this is the bark. This is we've approached the tree. We're smelling the tree. We're licking the tree.
yeah, I think maybe these are leaves. This album, just a little bit of.
This album's a leaf.
There's some sappiness happening for sure. I got that maple syrup on me. You know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. You ever played Driver?
No, I haven't.
The first song, 33, would go hard and fucking playing Driver.
Fair enough. Can't say I'm familiar, or I would comment.
Driving fast.
Driving fast.
What? Driving fast.
I don't know if I should let this just hit me all at once, or I should move to it, or I should drive to it, or anything like that. I don't know what vibe to be in when I'm listening to this.
I don't know, man. I had a panic attack in Target earlier today, and I listened to this, and I was doing all right afterwards.
That's so funny, because it kind of feels like a panic attack to me. But less so than something else we'll talk about, but we haven't moved on to that one yet. All right, favorite track on here for me, Italy. Picked Seconds of Errors and Full Greedy, but much like the other albums we've talked about today, very little gaps in quality between tracks. It's pretty damn consistent. It follows somewhat of a formula. It's just a really hard formula to adapt yourself to. So, these songs are pretty similar, but those ones stood out the most to me, I guess. How about you?
My favorite track would be like Benji. When it comes to like close seconds, 33 is a really close second for me. And then I also really liked Errors.
Errors is great. Errors is one of the better ones. I think Out is my least favorite, but again, not by a lot.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
Okay, cool. My overall score ended up being an 87. How about you?
I ended up giving it an 84.
84. I think this one was so hard to score because it's like,
yeah,
bro, what do I reference this to at all?
I reference this towards The Residents.
That's actually a really fair point. Like I said, I didn't think of The Residents, but that is probably the closest thing I could, especially since The Residents had some of that like jazz element sprinkled out throughout.
There's a Chinese album that we could compare this to that my wife knows. I have to find. When she wakes up, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Sounds good. The only comparisons I could draw is when the vocals sounded a little bit clearer. It felt a little bit like the Black Midi vocalist to me, and
yeah.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not just trying to grasp at straws, and there's some validity to that. And just in how like sparsed out and weird it is, I kind of likened it to Suicide's self-title as well. That's much looser. It's scary, so it does fall in line with that in a way.
Otherwise, I don't really.
Yeah, I guess just in like the weird reverb and resonance of everything, it reminded me of that. But another scary album is the one we have up next.
It is Shame by Chicago-based experimental hardcore band Meth.
Yeah. It sure is. I think noise rock is another good label to put on this too, if you wanted to, but I don't think it needs labels, because you're gonna press play on this son of a bitch, and it's gonna
blow your dick clean up.
Bringing it back around. This shit smacks ya. It rips a hole in ya. I'll say that much. Wow.
Unforgiving is a descriptor.
Unforgiving is such a good descriptor because this does not let up for the 40 or so minutes that it gives you. It just...
Such a long album, but it doesn't... It, like, goes by quick because it's just, like, assaulting you the entire time.
Yeah.
Makes you want to drive over pedestrians.
Makes you just feel a little bit more paranoid and sketched out by everything. Makes you a little terrified, maybe. A little bit freaked out. And just doesn't let up.
Oh, dude, I fucking threw this on when I was playing. I was playing Tarkov, and I had, like, my guy kitted up and going into Factory, which is one of the, like, smaller, more intense maps. And I was just in the VoIP, I'm coming to fuck you up, so get out of here. Fucking slaughtered everybody.
That's fair. It doesn't feel very hype to me, I guess, or like pumped up in the way that a lot of hardcore and stuff does. It's not making you feel aggression and anger. It's angry and aggressive at you.
Yeah. Which is why it fits so well in the context of Tarkov and not something like Doom.
Yeah, that's actually such a good comparison. A lot of hardcore and like beat down hardcore, noise rock, stuff like this would fit well with Doom, but this ain't a Doom album. You don't hold the shotgun here. It has the shotgun pointed at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this album is actually pretty profound in what it's trying to convey as well, because while the lyrics are pretty cryptic, somewhat vague, full of a lot of dark, scary imagery, it seems like it's somewhat of negative effects of mental illness or just negative experiences you've had, and it fits really well into the title, and the title track definitely gives you a little bit more insight, I feel, too, just in that it seems to embody perfectly just horrible negative feelings. This album, in the best way, sounds like how it feels to have a really bad moment with anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I can say.
I think that...
Dude, this live, I feel like I would simply just pass away.
You would simply pass away.
It's so funny, because in the Spotify, like, photos they have, the first one, they look so nice. They look like really nice, like, regular people. And then the next, the guy's got, like, I'm assuming fake blood all over his face. It looks like he's possessed, pointing at somebody in the audience. Oh, they did an audio tree session.
Oh, really?
3 years ago. 4 years ago. That's crazy.
That is actually pretty wild. They've been at it for a little bit now, but this is only their second album.
Yeah.
And I think the build-up for anybody following them has to have been worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Something else. Holy shit. If you played this in a church, I think everybody would pass away.
The church would implode.
It would implode for sure.
Do you realize?
Yeah. Diving more specifically into the actual sound of it, I think what they're doing as far as just being really good musicians is incredibly impressive. Their drummer probably is the most ripped man in existence because, God, it just does not let up.
Man has never skipped leg day.
Or arm day. Or the rest of it. Just drumming for the band is leg day and arm day and all of them. The way guitars are used and the way that this album just seems to meditate sometimes on hitting you with something super hard in the guitars and then layering up just the drums cascading through the whole mix. Bro, it just beats you down. It's so crazy. And I think I want to say they just have one vocalist, but there is a moment where it's layered vocals, so I guess I'm not entirely sure if there's two vocalists, but if it's one, holy shit, this guy has range. The gutturals are insane, and just the regular like higher register screams and shouty vocals that are more prominent throughout it are incredibly impressive too. And I liked that it's somewhat intelligible, which you don't get a lot with certain styles of hardcore, certain like really noisy styles of music like this. The vocals, you could usually kind of hear what's being said if you focus on it. That's especially true on the title track. where it was just kind of angrily shouting for most of the song. But yeah, just the musicianship on here. I mean, shit, you know?
No, it's not shit. It's pretty good. We were just talking about that.
Definitely not what I meant. It's the shit. How about that? We phrase it that way. My favorite song on here ended up being Give In, just because it felt like the best example of what they're doing throughout. How about you?
My favorite track on this particular product, I had Compulsion listed as my favorite track, but I'm like, let's do a little bit while we're talking about it. And I think I'm going to keep it as that for now.
That's totally fair. It's pretty consistent throughout. We keep saying that, and I think we're going to continue to say that, honestly.
We listen to consistent
These
music.
albums have been consistent in their good or decentness throughout. I'll say that much. Yeah, Blackmail ended up being my least favorite, but not by much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think by the time I get to Blackmail, I'm like, okay, man, I'm gonna head out. And then it says no. Also, did you notice that this album is a perfect loop?
Oh my god, I didn't hold on to me.
So it is in a way anyway, because it has that like just one note being replayed and just kind of beating down on you. And then it just gets a little bit faster, but it's basically the same thing when the whole project like restarts and you get to that first track again.
Oh, yeah, they added 5 seconds of silence on Spotify at the end.
Yeah, no, that is there. So it almost makes me wonder if it's not intentional, but...
Okay. No, I hear it. It actually, I think that the 5 seconds of silence, you know, when like bands go dun and they stop for a second and they go again in the middle of the song, like the pauses.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, like a lot of like deathcore breakdowns.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
That is actually a really good point. If you play this thing on loop, you just probably won't notice that it wasn't supposed to be. So I think that's really cool.
Play it backwards. It's a Christian rock album.
This is just normal music played backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No dub isn't though. No dub is even worse backwards. It's the devil. It's the devil comes out and fucking hands you a cigarette.
I think that then leads us into our final album for the week, Jesse the Tree with Not Fade Away.
Oh yeah. Tree, Andrew. One. Spit the ashes from my tongue and stomp them out like they looked at me wrong. I'm wide open. Throw me the rock. Old trim, mellow, yellow, easy does it. Damn.
Mr. Elevator, I think that I went too high.
He's not fading away because he created the best album of the year so far.
Oh boy, it's a contender, I'll say that much. I love it as much as my other selections of favorites this week. This week I kept going through and I'm like, oh, surely this will be the best album I hear this week. And then I kept saying that every time I listened to a new one. You know?
And you know.
I'm pretty blown away by this one. A abstract and somewhat experimental lyrical rapper from Rhode Island. The second rapper from Rhode Island ever, maybe. Shout out my guy, Kari.
The second person from Rhode Island. There's only 2 people. It's Kari and this guy, and they both decided to be rappers. Really good rappers. The Rhode Island's got a 100% good rapper rate so far. 2 out of 2.
They might have other ones that I don't know about, but those are the 2.
Not anymore. I undid them.
They're out here proving Rhode Island is in fact a place, and I'm still not entirely convinced.
Rhode Island.
It probably exists, because that's where he's coming out of, and wow, what a sound. What a sound he is bringing forward here. I caught some influences, and I want to see if you think that I'm on track with these. This sounds a little bit like Aesop Rock, as well as MF Doom, just in the way that he's rapping.
I was going to say MF Doom.
And there is an MF Doom reference as well.
Oh shit, I missed that.
It's one of the last songs. It's like a King Ghidorah reference in particular. I forget which one it is, but there is a specific mention there, so I feel like that's certainly an influence, but gave me the same vibes that I love from Aesop Rock. But this one is really soaking in some chill, relaxing, kind of classic sounding, absolutely beautiful vibes in the production.
I wish this was on Apple Music or Spotify or any streaming service that's not YouTube and Bandcamp.
Yeah, and I mean, also, we are going to link that Bandcamp down there for sure, so go ahead and just give this some support.
Please listen to it. Please.
Seriously, yeah, please listen to this.
I don't care who you are. Show your friends.
Show your friends, show your family, because you'll probably love it.
Show your friends meth too.
Yes, definitely. Both of these artists. And Trans Upper Egypt while we're at it, but off topic. How did you just feel about this album while listening to it?
This album blew my legs off.
Your legs this time.
Whole bottom torso come out and it's on Spotify.
Oh, is it?
It was on there 5 days ago. We're just fucking stupid.
Okay. Well, I guess you went ahead and put it on Spotify then too.
Yeah.
I was going to upload it from my local files. Let me see if it's actually on Apple Music.
In the photos of him, in this artist thingy, he's just in the car holding the fucking container of Tums. Man's got a tummy ache, bro.
That's so perfect. How would you describe this album?
The greatest rap album of the year is how I would describe it.
That's totally fair.
It's like he raps perfectly on beat, especially in the first track, Audrey Horne. Just it's so tasty, bro. It's 13 easy hot dogs.
Yes. He has a great grasp on flow. His flows are just impeccable throughout. So smooth. Has such a good vocal tone too. Kind of occupying a unique space there. This general vocal register. But that was pretty cool as well, I thought. He just sounds so good.
Oh my god! On the beat on the track Bug Flesh, which is track 2, goes super hard with
So good, yes.
the little the doots and the deets give me the skibbity bops.
That one has me just sinking into my chair and vibing. And I think this album kind of has the intention of feeling like drugs in a way, but in the most positive way possible.
That makes so much sense because I've been pretty stony baloney for the past 3 days, and I don't really smoke a whole lot. So I've just been
Yeah, you got 2 420 anthems, most notably Mr. Elevator, and then the follow-up Canary Yellow Submarine kind of both feel that way.
I'm listening to it right now. It's so good. The fucking, I don't know if it's a synth or a piano, kind of piano, but the just the little do.
Yes.
It's it's tasty. It makes my brain full.
It hits.
Satisfied.
Yes, it is so satisfying.
It's like a nice milkshake.
Nice milk. That's a good way to put it. Because, yeah, it just kind of hits you smooth like that, and it's so sweet on the ears.
And the singing parts on it, normally they'll suck, but this one's just, so good, dude.
Right.
I really feel I hope this guy blows up enough to where, the Alchemist is oh, hey.
That is so true. The production reminded me a little bit of The Alchemist at certain points.
And it looks like every track on here is credited to a guy named Andrew.
That is actually exactly what I was going to say. And he's featured on Big Star as well. So I guess he raps and produces.
He dropped an album in December.
Gotcha. Okay, so Andrew just records under Andrew?
Yeah, it looks like that. I feel like Andrew deserves you to go listen to one of his albums. He's got a few albums out. Looks like he drops a lot of shit with other people. He's the underground alchemist.
Yeah, that seems like a good assessment. Digging up some of those dusty classic samples, mixing them in just right to give you that cool little vintage sound. I mean, it's awesome. I think that Andrew is deserving of almost as much credit, if not the same amount, as Jesse the Tree himself. Both of them are names to watch out for, because this whole little scene here, I'm familiar with exactly no one. We've got Rap Man Gavin, AJ Suede, and Slumber Logic on that first track as well. I don't think I'm missing anybody. Every feature on here was so good. Such good chemistry. I don't know these people, but I feel like they're all friends. That's how this album feels. Oh, Not Really as well on Old Brazen Sun. He was excellent. And Ill Subliminal.
I really like Ratman Gavin. He featured very good.
Yes, yeah, that was excellent. I particularly did also love Not Really again. I really liked his verse on Old Brazen Sun, and then on that opening track, that one's like a near perfect, if not perfect song, and Slumber Logic's contributions there were super cool. The lyricism across this whole thing, awesome as well, am I right?
Oh, dude, fuck yeah.
The way he phrases things reminds me a lot of MF Doom in a way, and has a more surrealist nature to it. There's so much imagery brought up. Do you have any like favorite moments?
Probably in track 1, just like all of the like metaphors he uses every single time. Just that being the introduction to this album, I feel like makes it one of my favorite moments.
That's so true. It comes in and you just know what you're getting into in such a good way. And then what actually ended up being some of my favorite tracks were at the back end, when he gets a little bit more introspective with everything. I think maybe Heaven was the best example of that. But like, this album isn't all just chill vibes and like super optimistic stuff. It gets a little bit more introspective and a little bit more focused on depression and things like that towards that back end, even though it still has a positive slant at the end of it. And I mean, lines like "lovely view of heaven, but I'd rather be with you" being repeated on that track, that was just beautiful.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, Heaven is maybe my...
Don't say Heaven's your favorite fucking track, bro.
Heaven might be. Heaven might be my favorite.
Oh, Heaven's my favorite track.
Yes, we're on the same page.
The piano and the drums in the beginning too. The fucking little sample in there. Oh my god. The album cover too. Staring at the album cover, listen to this.
Yeah, I feel like if you look at the album cover while you're listening to it, it just makes sense. It's so much like the Trans Upper Egypt album that way. It just works, you know?
I'm just so happy this is on live streaming.
It's not on Apple Music yet, which makes me sad. But
that's why I'm glad I have both.
Yeah, that's so true. I just have Bandcamp on my phone and I use it a lot anyhow, so that when I'm playing this in the car, that's usually where it's coming from. But also I will just go ahead and probably pop it on my local files for Apple Music as well, just because this is something I need to be coming back to. Drop physical pressings of some sort.
Please.
That would be awesome. Please. If you happen to be hearing this.
His Bandcamp page having the like Homer Simpson looking out at the stars is so kind of fucking funny.
Oh, it's such a vibe. Yeah.
He's got the wizard vibes too with his Bandcamp banner being like a wizard with a fucking bowl and the smoke and then the black kitty. It's like, yeah, this is fucking wizard stoner rap.
Wizard stoner rap is such a good way to put it, given the surreal imagery.
Which is my favorite vibe, which segues into my good score for this album. I gave it a 97%.
Holy shit. I'm so glad you liked it that much.
I would have given it a 10, but there was a couple moments where I was like, it's so close. It's so close.
It's really close to a 10. I think there's like a few flaws in certain things where you can tell that there's like a little bit of still kind of new to this and has room to grow.
Yeah.
But the production on this is so good. Lyricism is so good. I mean...
It's almost perfect.
It is almost perfect. I went with a 90% because I do kind of feel you in it just being fucking fantastic, but I just think there's room to grow. That's my only thing with it. Why don't you rattle off some other favorite tracks, just since we had the same top one?
Alright. Bug Flesh. Bug Flesh goes fucking hard, dude. The fucking, like, sounds like somebody's beatbox, like the electronic beatbox. And then the synth after goes, oh yeah.
It's so good, man. Oh, the production and everything on that one. That might be the best produced song. I don't think it's the best lyrically, but it's the best produced. Maybe. I also loved how Toy Machine is produced, though. So, it's got competition. Do you have any other specific?
Toy Machine is really fucking good. The beat on Toy Machine, though. It's the almost like Butthole Surfers meets King Gizzard vibe of the beat when it's just playing the beat for the first few seconds.
That's a crazy comparison, but I do like it. I fuck with that comparison.
Yeah.
To just give a least favorite, I thought that Tree Nowitzki was just okay. I just didn't have a lot of strong feelings about that one, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's
The basketball references are probably going to hit for someone into basketball, but
it's probably stops for being a 10. That track.
yeah, it's just okay. It's just okay. And again, there are some moments on here where it's like, yeah, there's room to grow into like one of the best rappers.
Yeah, easily.
I mean, to say I will have an eye out for future releases is such an understatement, and I will be pretty shortly here.
I will personally contact you.
I will be going into that back catalog after hearing this one. This is an excellent release. I'm so glad that this was a slow week in music, so we had to kind of go a little crate digging, because those more underground cuts we talked about this week, just awesome albums.
I feel like every week, because we found Jesse the Tree, I feel like every week we should talk about at least one super duper underground album if we can.
I think so too. I think we want to lean...
At least one.
Yeah, I think we want to lean a little more obscure with things after this one, just because the results were so good. We want to talk about what's in the zeitgeist and what's being talked about too.
We mostly want to talk about what you guys want to hear.
Right, exactly. We want to contribute to the overall discussion for sure. That's kind of the main goal, or at least a lot of what we go into with this, but...
We love all 20 of you.
Yes, we absolutely do, and we appreciate your continued support. And also, if you have any like underground suggestions, anybody who's gotten this far into the actual podcast, go ahead and drop them below. We like to hear that stuff. So
if you have anything negative to say, also drop it below.
yeah,
I want to know if we made any mistakes. If you're like, oh no, Software Gore was the best EP ever, fuck me, let us know.
yeah, let us know. Let us know if you just love the shit out of that Goth Babe album, because, you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody does. But big shout outs to some, like, yeah, just some great up and coming artists, some people kind of just chilling in the underground, you know. I mean, and those two cuts that we talked about here with Goth Babe and The Last Dinner Party kind of being more popular but still somewhat independent bands, they're awesome too, you know. I mean, like, keep doing what you're doing, guys. Whew, good shit, man. Good week. This might be our best week. This might be the highest scores we'll have.
I think we've been saying that every week.
Yeah, we definitely did not say that the first week, because we had some real stinkers in there. But last week was also just super, super great. And this one, no exception. Even better yet. So we'll go ahead and do our actual rankings for this week. Our top one, predictably, ended up being Jesse the Tree at a 93.5% between the two of us. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And then our second place for the week is The Last Dinner Party, and that album came in at an 89.5%. Also, fucking awesome album. Trans Upper Egypt, 85.5% between the two of us. Super unexpected, super weird, super cool. Loved it. Just awesome stuff. Meth with Shame came in fourth place at 81.5%, in maybe the worst week you could have for competition, because that absolutely should be the top of the list. In fact, I think it absolutely would have been on our first week.
Best metal album of the 2020s.
Yeah, definitely. I actually don't have...
The competition is not stiff there.
I don't have any problems with that assessment. Coming in all the way at the bottom was Goth Babe's Lola at 65.5%.
It's fair.
Still, you know, still positive. Still positive. I think that everybody did a pretty damn good job with the albums we reviewed this week. Awesome week. Super excited for the next one. So thanks for sticking around. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell for more music-related content coming your way from the both of us and I'm currently going through and reviewing the Rolling Stone Top 500 Albums of All Time individually, so more from that soon. Drop a like on the video if you did like what you saw here today. And Micah, do you have any last thoughts or words or anything for the people?
Snarble garble, flarble jarble.
That's pretty wholesome, and we'll see you in the next one.